Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel for another video today. I'm really excited to bring this one to you guys today. We are going to be talking about starting GLP-1s and what my top 3 tips are to combat all of the things that can come with starting GLP-1. If you're new here, hi, my name is Brittany. I have been on a GLP-1 journey since November of 2022. I have lost 90 pounds now at this point, and I've decided recently to go ahead and go for 100. And I've learned a lot over the past 2 years. I've been sharing my entire journey here on YouTube, so you can definitely go and check out my earliest videos and start from the very beginning of when I was increasing dosage and losing weight and having all of the side effects and all of the things. But in today's video, we are definitely going to condense that all into one space that you can come to kind of see what you need to do, what you don't need to do in terms of like side effects. Because let me tell you, if you do not manage them ahead of time, if you're not proactive with managing your side effects and doing the things, the avoidance type things that are definitely necessary, man, you can have a hard time. And I was one that had a hard time. If you go back and watch some of those videos, if you've been around that long, then you know that I really struggled with side effects pretty much the whole time that I was still titrating up in dosages. And I think I know it's because I was doing the things that I'm about to tell you not to do. So take my mistakes and make them positives for you, and you will be a lot better off than me. I do want to say that if you are just starting your GLP-1 journey, today is New Year's Eve, so tomorrow is the new year, and there are so many people that are just beginning or getting ready to begin and are doing all of the research and stuff in preparation for this, then this video is for you. I wanted to make this. I actually had a different video planned, and I decided, hey, no, there's so many new people here, so many people that are going to be starting their journey. Let's make something for them and let's help them out getting going. Now, if you are somebody that has been on your journey for a long time, there's a lot of you guys, comment down below your top tips, because we can all help each other and make this journey as pleasant as possible. It's a great train to be on, y'all. Don't let me scare you here. It's great. It's life-changing. It's absolutely amazing. But there are some nasty side effects that can come along with GLP-1 use if you do not proactively do things to prevent them. And so that is what we are getting at here. So without further ado, I'm going to give you my top 3 tips, not just to avoid side effects, but also just in starting your journey and how to make the most out of it. I do have some coffee here before we get going. So if you see me drinking that, that is why. Also, there is currently 7 children in my house. So if you hear any things up there, then that is why. My kids have their best friends over. They live in our neighborhood. They came over bright and early this morning, and I'm sure they're destroying all of the organization I did in the loft, but that'll be fine. So if you hear that, that is what that is. Now, number 1, the number 1 thing I wish I had done that I did not do is to keep a journal. And this can be beneficial for many, many different things, many different ways. The first obviously is side effects. You are going to find as you start your GLP-1 journey that there are several like foods that give you more side effects. There are certain times of the day that you take your shot that'll end up giving you more side effects. For example, me personally, if I take my shot too late in the afternoon, then I sleep like absolute garbage that night, like literally not a wink of sleep that night. My husband, who is on GLP-1, is the same way. He cannot take the shot too late in the afternoon or he doesn't sleep. So keeping a journal is really good. So it's really good for being able to track those things and say, hey, if you recognize a pattern of it's been 2 weeks now and I take my shot at 4 in the afternoon and then I sleep like crap, then maybe I don't need to take it at 4 in the afternoon. So a journal can be life-changing for injection sites, for times a day you should take your shot. There are people that cannot handle certain injection sites. For example, again, using myself here, in the beginning of my journey, I could not do my stomach. I don't know why. It gave me horrible side effects, horrible nausea, vomiting, diarrhea. It was awful every time I injected into my stomach. And so for the most part of my weight, the bulk of my weight loss, I did it in my thighs, and that was good for me. And I would just switch between thighs. So there are some people that just don't handle certain injection sites. There are people who they don't work for them. Like some people will say that their stomach just doesn't produce as much appetite suppression as their thighs, or their arms are the best place where they feel it the most. It's really different, and there's no scientific data to back that kind of thing up. So it's really important to keep a personal journal for yourself so that you are able to look back and say, okay, for me, this is what is most effective. Because you're going to find a lot of different things online of things that were effective for me, things that were effective for Joe and Kathy, but they might not be effective for you. So keeping a personal journal is so important. And also it can help you with side effects in terms of food. So I am not one that pushes the use of a food journal or calorie counting or macro counting or counting really in any way, shape, or form. If you've been here, you know, I don't recommend that. It's just not, for me, mentally smart. However, I do think it's important to, in your journal, kind of jot down like, okay, today I ate a cheeseburger and I felt like absolute garbage. Cucumbers made me nauseous. Whatever it may be, keeping that journal and for you to go back and reference, because sometimes you forget things. You know, sometimes it's been a month since you had a cucumber and you're like, okay, well, let me look back through this and see how I'm feeling on certain things. It can help jog your memory when you're increasing dosage. Like, okay, let me review how the 5 milligram dosage went in my journal and see. I do not have a journal in terms of my GLP-1 use. That's something, again, that I wish I really would have done, but I do have my research book for all of my videos, and I actually go back and read them quite often just to see like things that I forget, things that I've researched, like, oh, I heard something about this. Let me go back and review what I wrote down about that. So a journal is instrumental in your success because you are going to want to have that information for future use, especially when you're titrating up on dosages, when it's going to be rough, especially if you eat those foods that you previously had eaten and they made you vomit everywhere. You know what I'm saying? So number 2 is to take pictures. And also in sort of a caveat to this, to not compare yourself to everybody else that you see on the internet. There are so many people that are considered slow losers on GLP-1s, and that just means that they didn't lose at the same rate as the early responders or the quick responders or whatever you want to call them. But I've done videos on this before. You can go back and watch those. I'll try to remember to link some down below. But in the end of all of the SURMOUNT studies, the slow losers eventually catch up to the quick losers. So I'm saying all this to say that if you are a slow loser, the data shows that if you stick to it and you stick to the plan and you keep doing all of the things that you're supposed to do, that you will eventually reach those same goals that the quote unquote fast losers reached. And so it can be discouraging to have all of these people on Reddit or on YouTube or on TikTok or whatever showing you how they lost 10, 20 pounds in the first 2 weeks on this medicine. It can be discouraging if you are a slower loser. So I think it's just important and prudent of us to keep our own journal, going back to the journal, keep our own journal, keep our own sort of things, and remember where you came from by taking pictures. So if you take pictures, this is something that I started doing later in my journey, and I have pictures just because I've been on YouTube for so long with my other channel. I have pictures from the beginning of my journey and like video and all of that. And it's really fun and also very beneficial sometimes to go back and say, okay, well, this is what I looked like when I started 2.5. And then this is what I looked like when I started 5, and then 7.5 and 10. And even though there may have only been, you know, a 5 to 7 pound difference between some of those pictures, you always could tell a pretty big difference in how I looked and how my body was taking shape and all of that sort of thing. So I think taking pictures and going back and looking at them, especially when you're feeling discouraged, is what the number on the scale says, can be really good for our mental health and can be really good for just kind of carrying us throughout this journey and keeping us going when we feel like quitting, or if we don't feel like we're making enough, or we're having progress, or we're having bad side effects or whatever. One thing I recommend is like taking your quote unquote fat picture and putting it on the mirror in your bathroom so that you can look at that every morning and then see yourself as you are now and say, okay, I don't want to quit. Yes, this sucks right now. I'm having a bad side effect, but look at where I was and remember how you were feeling. Another thing I recommend is writing on the picture. So I have recommended this to a lot of people and they seem to have done it. Getting a picture that is larger, or like putting a picture in the middle of like construction paper or something and writing down in the beginning right now, especially if you're starting, how you're feeling. So like examples of how you feel about yourself. So for me personally, it would have been, I have too much back fat. I want to catch up to my kids. I want to be able to keep up with them. You know, writing all of the things on this paper surrounding that picture that you're feeling right now in the moment, so that 3, 4, 5 months from now, you can go and look and say, okay, well, I don't feel this anymore and I don't feel that anymore and whatever. And that can be so beneficial in helping you carry on within your journey. Number 3, and this is the big one, probably why you clicked on this video, is foods that there are definitely foods that universally, everybody says you should avoid at the beginning of your journey, especially when you are titrating up in dosage. When your body is adjusting to a GLP-1, when it's not used to having that level of the GLP-1 hormone in your body, foods can really mess with you. Let me tell you. Go back and watch a couple of my early videos, you'll see. So there are definitely foods that several GLP-1 content creators and several doctors and lots of people on Reddit have come out and say, these probably should be avoided. So my recommendation is avoiding them in the beginning. So when you're first on like 2.5 milligrams, when you're kind of building up the levels of GLP-1 in your body, definitely some things that you should avoid. Sugary foods, absolutely. Like if you eat a slice of cake, oh my gosh, it's awful. Like I don't know if, I guess it's because GLP-1 is designed to regulate your sugar levels in your body. And then you're like, here, have 700 grams of sugar, right? So your body really, mine and lots of other people's, really reacts to it. It makes you feel ill, it makes you tired, it makes you sluggish. It makes me honestly just feel like heavy and sluggish and nauseous and anxious. Like all the sugar in my body that my body doesn't know what to do with is not good. It was definitely not good in the beginning of my journey. So when you are building up that level in your body, sugary foods you should avoid. And also every time, I would personally recommend every time you increase your dosage to go back and avoid these same foods at that time, because every time you increase more GLP-1 again than what your body is used to, then you are starting over essentially in the food thing. So sugary foods, fried foods. So excessive fried foods is very difficult. So like foods that are super oily or greasy or have a ton of salt in them, I have noticed does not do well for me, and many others, like I have said. So sugary foods, fried foods, several vegetables that seem to give people problems. Cucumbers, as I mentioned earlier in this video, a lot of people have trouble with broccoli. I think the broccoli thing is because of the slowed down digestion that GLP-1s cause. And so with it being a roughage fiber product, it sits in your stomach for a long time and it can cause like sour stomach or even like gas or belching or whatever. So things like broccoli and eggs and higher fiber, things like that actually can cause what people call the sulfur burps, which is essentially when you burp, it tastes like rotten egg. And it makes like, if you've never experienced this, then it's hard to explain, but essentially like when I would have the sulfur burps in the beginning of my journey, people across the room could smell my burp. Like it's that bad. So I found personally that eggs made it worse, broccoli made it worse, and broccoli is my ultimate favorite vegetable. Like I would eat it every day if I could. Now I can. It doesn't affect me as much anymore, but in the beginning I just couldn't do it. Cucumbers caused it for me. Tomatoes caused it for me. So like if we ate spaghetti or something like that, I noticed it more. So again, keeping that food journal, there are going to be foods that you personally notice are worse for your body that other people probably don't have as many problems with. But there are, again, the universal ones: broccoli, fried foods, and sugary foods. Hands down, and high salt items for me would cause like a sour stomach. You do want fiber though. So it can be difficult in the beginning to know what to do, because you do want the fiber because you need the good fiber to kind of keep things moving. For me personally, I just took Colace, like a stool softener. I still take it, and that really seemed to help me in my journey, in keeping me regular. So yeah, I think that helped me personally a lot, but there are many, many more, many more things that people could tell you. And I hope that experienced people comment them down below so that we can all kind of glean off each other and help each other out. But that's the 3 things that I really wanted to touch on because I feel like those are the most important. Oh, and we cannot forget, if you know me, you know, you got to drink your water, guys. GLP-1s are known to not make you hungry and then also to not make you thirsty. So I recommend having a big water bottle. If you have a Stanley, whatever, carry it around with you, take it in the car with you, and every so often just like chug some water. You need the water for your digestion, for everything. Literally, water cures all. Like if I ask my kids, if they say they got a headache, if they say their belly hurts, if they're irritable, if whatever, drink water, it'll cure your problems. And most often it does. So make sure you're drinking your water. That is instrumental in your journey for weight loss, for overall health, for everything. Drink your water. So those are my tips. Those are my what I feel like are the most important tips for starting GLP-1s. Everybody else, drop yours down below, and I will see you guys tomorrow where I am going to share with you guys my personal goals for the year. So I'm really excited to share that with you. And then we will talk about Dr. Jones on Thursday. I have it prepped. I just need to film it, but I keep finding things that I feel like are more important in the moment to talk about, but we're going to talk about it. So stay tuned for my goals tomorrow and Dr. Jones on Thursday. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed. And if you're just starting your GLP-1 journey, welcome. Hit the subscribe button, stick around. We have a lot of fun over here. And there is also a link to a free encouragement Facebook group in the description box down below. So thank you guys for watching. Happy New Year. Happy New Year's Eve. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye guys.